Get ready to be amazed by the wonders that unfold in your body during a 3-day fast. We break down the science behind this fasting phenomenon, shedding the light on the remarkable ways your body adapts, heals, and powers up for optimum health. Introduction to the 3-day fast. Embarking on a 3-day fast is more than just a dietary challenge. It's a strategic approach to reset and rejuvenate your body. As we delve into the core principles, we explore the science behind this fasting protocol, highlighting its potential benefits for metabolic health, cellular repair, and overall vitality. If we're going to talk about fasting, no other that we go to is Peter Attia, and he's at peterattiamd.com. Why Peter plans to switch to a 3-day fast once per month starting in 2020. He's tried every protocol mentioned above over time, and for the past couple of years prior to this article, he's been doing a 7-day fast. So for 2020, Peter plans to switch to a 3-day water-only fast per month. No real scientific insight telling him that that's what he should be doing. More so, he just wants to try something different. The main difference is that with 3 days per month, there will be more consistent exposure to fasting. But at the same time, he may not be going as deep into the physiologic effects of fasting. Why 3 days? Peter's intuition is that 3 days is probably the minimum amount of time needed to hit some of the important physiologic benchmarks, such as, and the most important thing that we'll be focusing on here, is a significant reduction of glucose and insulin that triggers autophagy. Metabolic adaptations. During the initial phase of the 3-day fast, your body undergoes a metabolic shift. With the depletion of glycogen stores, it turns to fat for energy, initiating a state of ketosis. The fascinating mechanisms behind this process, shedding light on how ketones become a primary energy source and the impact on your metabolism. Fasting to empty the cells of glucose. There is no more potent way to lower insulin than to fast, says Peter Attia. Many people spend time arguing about whether low-fat or low-carb diets work best to lower insulin, but they seem to forget the infinitely more potent tool, eating nothing at all. By eating nothing, you are going to force your body to start using another fuel. And the first place it's going to pull it out of is this fatty liver, which, by the way, is causing a ton of cirrhosis and type 2 diabetes because it's actually part of the same problem. Cellular repair and autophagy. The 3-day fast serves as a trigger for autophagy, a cellular process that clears out damaged components and promotes cellular repair. We explore the intrinsic dance of cellular rejuvenation, understanding how this temporary deprivation initiates a profound cleanup within your body, contributing to longevity and health. Will fasting help a healthy person live longer? Can a healthy person, meaning non-obese, insulin sensitive, and non-hyperinsulinic person benefit from periodic fasting in terms of reducing the odds of chronic disease down the line? Absolutely yes. If you're using fasting to drop your insulin levels every so often, you're going to lower your chance of getting diseases of hyperinsulinemia, heart disease, stroke, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity. What about something like quarterly prolonged fasting, 5+ days, to increase longevity? Jason says if you take the perspective of evidence-based medicine, you might say there's no evidence that it can improve longevity, ward off chronic disease. However, what is the risk-reward ratio? In terms of risk, Jason says it's just about 0. In terms of reward, it can be potentially massive. So the real question is, why wouldn't you do it? For example, let's say you have a rheumatoid arthritis. If Walter Longo's FMD, which is fasting mimicking diet, says it can help reset your immune system and improve your autoimmune disease, why wouldn't you try it? We know what prednisone does to people, so why wouldn't I do 7 days of fasting? The risk of that is 0, so I don't get any benefit from that. Then I don't have to do it ever again. What happens if things get a lot better? I've just treated my own disease. The reward can be so high, but you don't have to guess that. You can just do it. I did Walter Longo's FMD Prolong for 5 days. It is a fasting mimicking diet, and that really helped me tee myself up for a flat out. It actually helped me with a 3-day pure fasting. The whole idea of Walter Longo's Prolong FMD is the 5-day fasting mimicking diet equals the 3-day true fast. Detoxification and immune boost. As toxins are released from fat stores during fasting, the body engages in a natural detoxification process. We uncover how this detoxification process supports the liver and enhances the immune system, providing a holistic approach to well-being. Here we are with PeterAttilaMD.com, and he interviews Jason Fung, MD, fasting as a potent antidote to obesity, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and the many symptoms of metabolic illness. I love what Jason has to say here, or Dr. Fung. We think of all these responses, obesity, insulin resistance, and the beta cell failure, as a pathologic. They're actually protective. Your body is actually trying to protect itself against the root cause of the problem, which is too much insulin and too much glucose. In this episode, Jason Fung, a nephrologist and best-selling author, shares his experiences utilizing the individualized approach to fasting to successfully treat thousands of overweight, metabolically ill, and diabetic patients, and why being a doctor who specializes in kidney disease gives him a unique insight into early indications of metabolic disease. We also have a great discussion on insulin resistance, where Jason makes the case that we should actually think of optimizing your fasting experience. To make the most out of your 3-day fast, we offer practical tips and insights. From hydration strategies to maintaining essential nutrient levels, we guide you on a path to ensure a safe and effective fasting experience. 5 tips to help you get through a multi-day fast. Tip number 1, start with baby steps. Know you can end it whenever you need to. Peter says there's nothing wrong with ending a fast early if you're not feeling well. In fact, he has ended fasts for his patients on many occasions. That said, Peter doesn't have any examples of a patient who medically needed to eat. Needing to eat was more of a psychological than anything. Tip number 2, fast with others to be able to support each other. The feeling of support while doing it with another person makes the process easier to get through. If you don't have a person to do it with, consider the fasting app called Zero. Note, Peter's involved with this company. At any time, there's 500,000 people fasting simultaneously using the Zero app. There's a huge strength in numbers that kind of comes from knowing that at any moment you're miserable, it's going to pass and you're not alone. Tip number 3, have a plan for when you know it will be tough. If you love a certain food or meal, be somewhere else when that temptation will be there. Go for a walk, occupy yourself elsewhere. Tip number 4, have something to look forward to. Each day that you're fasting, put something on the day that you might not otherwise do that's just pure bliss. A show, a book, just some kind of reward. And try to do this thing especially when you suspect to have hunger pains. Tip number 5, start with baby steps. First, get some experience with time-restricted eating. Then try to elongate the fasting window to 24 hours. Then many 36, then 48, and keep progressing from there. That's exactly what I did. I actually started with intermittent fasting, and then I worked my way up to a 24-hour window and so forth. Patience to fast, how Jason and Peter utilize fasting in their practice and how their approach differs. For Peter's patients, before starting on longer fasts, he first starts his patients with the 2 easiest ways to help the patients escape from this gravitational pull of eating pure garbage. Number 1, time-restricted feeding. You don't restrict what a person eats or how much they eat, you just restrict when they eat. Example is the 16-8 protocol, a 16 hours fasting time with an 8-hour eating window. Number 2, dietary restriction. No restriction on when you eat, no restriction on how much you eat, you just can't eat these foods. Example, carb restriction. Depending on how well those 2 approaches work, Peter may begin to encourage patients to incorporate a longer fasting. At Jason's practice, he focuses heavily on the fasting from the start. Jason believes we spend way too much time talking about what to eat instead of when to eat. We've been told to eat small meals throughout the day, but Jason says no science backs up this idea, and someone essentially made it up and it stuck. Fasting is easier for patients. When Jason decided to focus on diet nutrition with patients, he found that getting the patients to change the frequency of eating as opposed to what they're actually eating was much easier. He saw so many patients at such a quick pace, he needed something that he could efficiently and effectively explain within 10 minutes. With his patients started seeing really good results, he knew he was onto something. we discovered how a 3-day fast can serve as a powerful tool for resetting your body, promoting cellular rejuvenation, and unlocking the potential for a healthier and revitalized you. How Peter prefers to break a long fast. Make the first meal a pretty small meal. Peter likes to have some cooked vegetables. It's a bit hard with all of the insoluble fiber in raw vegetables. Combined with small amount of protein, like steak. If the volume is too big, you might get the hiccups given your stomach has shrunk. Peter once broke his fast with a couple of glasses of wine as an experiment. It definitely hit me harder than it normally would, prompted me to think twice about that before I do it again. I would also add in on the combined with a small amount of protein. I prefer breaking a fast with a light fish or a salmon. Also, in the description field down below is my free 25-page PDF, In Pursuit of Excellence, the Renaissance Man's Woman's Guide to Mastery. Please consult a healthcare professional before starting your fast.